Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
Our guest I'm very interested in, and I know that my co-hosts are as well, so I'm excited to welcome to the program Linda Rodriguez Bernfeld. She's the Regional Director of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. Linda, thanks for calling, and thanks for fitting in some time to chat with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, I want to know what your job entails first so that I'll see what your expertise area is, because I have a social media and branding business, and I have a lot of children's book authors that are self-published most of the time, and getting that process out there because there's lots of children's books. So I wanted to hear your background, and then our panel has some great questions for you.
Well, I am, first off, a volunteer, but I put on 2 major writing conferences a year. We do our Florida Regional Conference in Miami in January, usually every Martin Luther King weekend. And we bring in agents and editors and great authors. We have one coming up January 13th through 15th. I have Jane Yolen. I have Donna Gephardt, who's one of our Florida people who is making her name for herself at this time. She's won the Sid Fleischman Award for humor, and she has just written a fabulous book called Lillian Duncan. I have Jacqueline Michard, who was the first author in Oprah's book club years ago, and Jacqueline now is writing not only adult books but young adult books, and she is an editor for Merit Press. I have Mark Teague, who is an illustrator who illustrated How Did the Dinosaur Go to Sleep books that are written by Jane Yolen. I have Jennifer Choldenko, who has won many writing awards, and she wrote Al Capone Does My Shirts. And I know I'm leaving off someone, and whoever it is, I apologize. But it's such a fabulous lineup, including 3 agents, 3 editors from major publishing companies, and a few other people here and there. We do workshops, keynote speeches. So that's in January. Every June, I do a workshop with 5 different tracks and intensives in Orlando and Disney World. And then in September, the last weekend of September, we do 6 to 7 boot camps in one weekend. We call it boot camps across Florida, and we do it in 6 or 7 different cities. And those are low-cost one-day workshops, and where beginning writers can really start getting an idea of what it is to write children's books. I've been putting on conferences for about 15 years now. So,
awesome.
I think I've built up a little bit of expertise.
Gotcha. So I'm always curious on the accessibility side. I have low vision, so I'm just curious on how that plays a role into your volunteering, into what you've done as to your experience.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of the question. Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm wondering, because I have low vision, I'm always curious on the accessibility side of things. And I'm just wondering, from your experience, what has been your experience with either blindness or visual impairment or this accessibility in general?
Well, if somebody wants to attend our conference, they just need to let us know what it is, what special needs they have, and we will accommodate. We had one woman a few years ago who came in with her seeing eye dog, and we sat her in the front so she could make sure that she could hear, and made sure that she was comfortable. If somebody needs to come in with a companion to deal, with things, we make arrangements for that too. I have some people who are hearing impaired, so if we're working on getting sign language interpreters for them, or making sure that they can sit up close to the front and tape those sessions that they need so that they can hear it again later. So we do everything we can, even though we're a small group locally. We do everything we can to accommodate anybody who has accessibility problems.
Great, and I appreciate as much as you can do and as much as you are doing, and that's awesome to hear. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Access is important. It's important to give people the opportunity to do something that they truly need to do. Because if you're a writer, you need to write, and you need to be able to become a part of a group that will help you and build you up when you need to be built up and help you with your writing. So, that's just part of it.
Yeah, that was actually my question, Linda. You kind of answered it. I was going to ask, what's the main purpose of the group? Is it just support, writers and illustrators and kind of, build that network of connectivity? Because in this industry, we know it's all about your connections and who you know and what kind of support you can get. Is that the main focus of the organization?
It's not always who you know, because a great writer will always find a way to get published. They do look through the slush piles. They do look for new writers. It is the idea let me gather my thought here. When I first started writing, I was a young mom who, with kids at home, and I knew that I could not go away to conferences. And everybody who was published told me the way to get published is to go to a conference. And I couldn't go. So I had a really great critique group. I had finally joined a group, and I kept telling the group, we should put on a conference. And they kept saying, no, it's too much work. And I'd put on a couple of conferences before, and I said, no, it's not that much work. So in order to satisfy my need to meet people in the industry and to get into and to meet others who were like me who needed to write, we started a conference, and the conference grew, and now we have almost 200 people, between 175 to 200 people at each conference, and in the boot camps, and we do free meetings across the state as often as we can, and we try and bring accessibility to everyone. But I will tell you, it's not always who you know. If your writing isn't there yet, it's still, you can know everybody and still not get published. It's the biggest thing is the writing. So we have, in our conferences, focused on craft. All of our conferences have intensives where you have a limited number of people, really great teachers, and you do writing exercises, and you work on improving your writing so that it can be at the level when you do a critique with an editor, they're going to say, I want this.
And why is it that it's so difficult to get published? What do you think is that? Because, again, is it just the criteria that these publishers are looking for? Is it how these authors present themselves to try to be published?
Often it is that the writing has not yet reached the level that, and the writer needs to work to improve. Another thing is that a project, take for example the Hunger Games. If you had described that project to an editor, 3/4 of them would have said, oh, I'm not sure I want to read that. I'm not sure that that's right for me, if you had to query it. But Suzanne Collins already had a relationship and had contracts for books, and when she sent in that manuscript, I know one of the editors who read it, and she was telling us at a meeting once that she saw the subject and thought, ooh, geez. She started reading it, missed 2 buses and a train connection because she couldn't put it down.
Oh my!
And she is apparently a very time-oriented person. So for her, that was just and the book caught fire. So sometimes it's a matter of hitting the right editor. Sometimes it's a matter of having the right writing the query correctly
Yes.
to interest the editor or the agent. I know that I have had editors and agents tell me that they want to come to my conferences in Florida because we have very good writers and they are looking for new work. The other problem sometimes is that if an editor just bought a book about a dog,
Okay.
and you have a book about a dog,
They're not
it's
going to
a
want that.
really good book about a dog that you've written, but they already have too many dog books. They can't take that book. I have a friend who did a critique at one of my conferences, and the editor loved her manuscript. But that editor worked for a company that was getting in that just had gotten a book about chickens.
Oh my gosh!
And it was a lovely book by Doreen Cronin, great book. But the book that my friend was presenting was called Chicken Dance, and so just because it had chickens, it was too close to what the other book was. She wasn't able to sell that manuscript to the editor, but they kept on working together. And a year later, she sold a different kind of manuscript to that editor and ended up selling three manuscripts to the editor, and then the editor left to become an agent, and she sold a 4th manuscript to the editor's replacement. And her manuscript, Chicken Dance, became a bestseller for Sterling and ended up with a sequel. That writer is now, one of the top picture book writers in the country. So it's a matter of perseverance.
Yes.
It's a matter of writing. It's a matter of luck. And so our conferences try to help you build relationships with editors and agents so that you can get past the accessibility part of it. And by joining an organization such as the Society of Children's Book Writers, you have a leg up on some people because the editors and agents know that you're willing to do the work that it takes because you've joined a professional organization. And by attending events or the webinars that many of our regions provide, you can if Western Washington is offering a webinar and you live in Georgia, you can take that webinar if they have room. They'll have a certain number of slots, and it can be anybody in the country who can take it, or anybody in the world because we're a worldwide organization. So
that's great.
Being in a group like ours is you will get access to editors and agents. You'll get access to craft workshops, and you'll find the people who are like you, the members of your tribe, who will help you. Yeah, it's like when we go to a conference, it's like coming home again and seeing your best friends, because these are people who, when you say, I got a really great rejection, they understand what you mean.
Right. And
if
so,
you tell that
and I wish we could talk longer, but we do have our next guest ready to come on. But Linda, the best place we can find information on you. So you're a national organization, not just the Floridians can join your organization. Right. So where's the best place we can find information? I have a client right now that I have a feeling she's going to be joining your organization, seeing how it would be perfect for what she's doing with her children's book. But where's the best place we can find info?
You can go on the internet. It's an international organization, and you can, anywhere in the world. We've got China, and we've got France and Germany, scbwi.org, and you can join online. It's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, so scbwi.org.
I'm going to be passing on your information to everyone. So I'll definitely want to have you back on my show again. Eric will give me that contact information, and also some of your authors down the line throughout the time I'd love to talk to, and I'd love to chat with you some more. So thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I've
Take
thoroughly
care.
enjoyed this.
Take care. Great. That's fantastic. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to Author's Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio, live from the Mind Book Fair, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.